Beautiful lovely gamers, my name is Jonal. Today, let's talk about the grand final in the Overwatch League. The San Francisco Shock crushing the Vancouver Titans. And there was something that was questioned by a lot of people. That is, why the fuck would you play May Reaper versus Bastion phara on Eichenwalde? And we see this in two instances that we'll be focusing on today in the Overwatch League preview, whatever it's called, the browser that we can watch the game in. We will watch the Eichenwalde attack pods from the Vancouver Titan playing against that exact team composition from the Shock. And why they're playing that. And a lot of people question it. So much so that I saw a tweet even from your Overwatch, which I think that normally covers the general knowledge of what people understand if they don't come like me from a tier 2 or tier 3 experience as a coach. And he says that reviewing the grand final, some really head-scratching moments from the Vancouver Titans. Someone needs to explain to me why teams play Reaper against Arista Sigma Bastion comp. To me, he is meta in mirrors versus Doomfist against all other tanks, but versus that, he doesn't really have a play in my opinion. Normally, the thought process is to have teamwork to capitalize on the May disables as CC, but when your May player is having the worst day of his career, leaves him with nothing to do a lot of the time. And one thing that I just want to point out, this is like a general thing that I hear, as a coach, as a team, you can never ever in your career make a team composition where you are anticipating that your players will play like shit, okay? You just can't, because then you are playing with, then you are making strategies around the fact that you don't trust your team, and if you make that, then why the fuck is that player on your team, right? Like, if he can't make plays, if you think that he's gonna underperform, why is he on the team right now, right? Doesn't make any sense. And another thing that I want to really specify, this is a comment that I see a lot of the time, and it frustrates me as someone that have worked with contenders and works a lot with tier 3 and the borderline of the people that are playing in to try to get into contenders in open division. People like Softy Named G, who says to your Overwatch, never knew you were a pro team, were on a pro team or a coach. I'm sure they know what they're doing. After all, we are casual players, they are pros. Pro player doesn't know all the time what they're doing. Nobody plays fucking perfect. There's a difference between the best team in Overwatch League and the worst team in Overwatch League, right? There's a difference in between them. There's a very good reason for that. Strategy, tactics, individual play, all these kind of things. So you're fully allowed to question somebody, even if you're fucking silver. You're allowed to question people and question what the pros are doing and ask questions. That's how you improve. That's how we start a healthy discussion about the esport, and bashing people because they're not a professional coach like me or like anybody else. And therefore they're not allowed to question what the pros are doing because they don't coach and they're on a high tier. It's like, then nobody would be allowed to do so, and well, that's just stupid. So let's talk about this. Of course, these kind of videos are always long and so on, so a like on the video, a comment down below, it helps against the abuse of YouTube algorithm, helps about this not getting suppressed and getting spread out to more people so they can learn more about the game. As always, if you want to improve and rank up at the game, doesn't matter if you're bronze or top 500, as long as you are interested in ranking up and improving, I can help you with that. As if you want to hire me as a private coach, it's 50 euros for a 2-hour session. Hit me up on our Discord server, which is linked down below, which you should join that way, including my Twitter and my Twitch if you want to follow me for more personal stuff, and that's linked down below. So let's talk about it. So first, to understand how we counter, or how, if we put ourselves in the shoes of the Vancouver Titans, how the fuck do we play against this? Well, okay, let's look at that. We need to understand the play style of this team composition. What they're trying to do. Who is the carry on this team? It's the phara. The phara is the carry. The whole point is that they have to put a lot of resources on the Bastion, allowing her, the phara, to do whatever the fuck she wants to them, doing a lot of damage. Right? Poking during rotations, barraging as they push through this small doorway on house, right? There's a lot of plays that can be made. Playing on the point becomes excessively difficult with her there, and that is the whole point, to constantly deal damage, to constantly have this pressure from the sky that they cannot block easily with angles, and they can't pick counter picks. How do you then counter this team composition? There's a couple of ways that you can counter a bunker. One is shield break. That's all. Like this is very difficult against Bastion comp if you don't want to very sure about that. If you don't want to play mirror, then that's very difficult. That's the enemy team will most likely have. It's possible, for example, what the Titans could do. They could play Hanzo, Mercy, Baptiste, Bastion, and that would give them higher shield break, as they could damage boost the rapid fire, and they could damage boost some of the arrows, and they could damage boost the Bastion, as the phara has the damage boost from the Mercy, and there will also be a little bit more zoning potential with against the phara. Because of the hands who can deny him to play. If he flies too close, the hands can snipe him. Right? That would be a possibility. So you can play shield break against it. That's an option. But again, then you play shield break versus shield break. Then you have to deal with the phara, and so it still becomes very difficult for you to push. And it's still really weird to play that kind of play style. Number 2, of course, and remember, you cannot counter. You cannot pick a Kree here, right? You can't just run this team composition or something similar with a McCree. Because the McCree or the Widow or the Ash won't get angles. The phara will just play out of the Kree's LOS, let the Bastion shred the shield, and play out the Kree's LOS and just bomb around corners with rockets, denying picks, right? If he has to be super far back, that's completely fine for them. They can just use the Bastion to shield break or to pressure whatever DPS is off-angling, and then the phara will do the rest, right? So it's very difficult for them to use a hit scan here. The other way is to force the Bastion comp to rotate, and that's partially what they will try to do. This was very well seen in Goats, as Goats is, fucking beefy ass fucking train that just rams into people. So when Ghosts were played, you could do this. You could rotate your entire team into the Bastion comp, forcing the Bastion comp to fucking move away from your Ghost comp. It was a very common strategy. How you dealt with these bunker comp when you're playing Ghosts was to rotate the entire Ghost team into the Bastion. With so much eating and shields and health and healing and damage, there's nothing the bunker could do about it except move and rotate away from the Ghosts, which would then be just a rotation fest. Number 3 is to weaken the bunker, and that's what they're going to do. So if we notice what they're playing, again, they cannot play anything else. Phara will, if they swap the Reaper or the Main or whatever for a phara, the phara will get zoned by, they will be either having to take air duels or getting zoned by this main group, right? So that won't work. They can't play hit scans to deal with the phara because, well, then you lose damage on the shield and they will lose all shield wars. And the hit scan will not be allowed to move because the phara will play walls and using corners to just shoot around, and the Bastion will pressure all main groups, right? You cannot play Doomfist as a Doomfist cannot engage. You cannot play Dive as a Dive is just get melted, right? There's not really much you can play here outside of this team composition. This team composition works really well. What it's built around is that the Reaper's job, I mean, you need to understand individual jobs to understand team composition. The Reaper's job is just to apply pressure on the map. He can apply pressure on the point. He can apply pressure behind them. He can play down here and teleport up on the ledge and start applying pressure from there. He can do a lot of things that just forces resources onto him, which is what he wants. He just wants that. He wants resources onto them, and then he wants to be able to take areas where he can just say, if you want to play here, I will do a lot of damage. And you definitely can't play here unless you commit a lot of resources to me, which is resource that is not committed to my main group. Remember, the main group, meaning he will be flanking and off-angling, playing around his team. Think a little bit like Genji playstyle. You're playing around his team, trying to not play too much in main, where the Bastion will have to focus all his attention on the Orisa, and the rest of the main group, so the Reaper can run around, dragging resources towards him, looking for picks, building up a Death Blossom, applying pressure on the point, all these kind of things. That's what he want to do. The Mage's job is to split and to help playing the same style of team composition. You want to play, for example, on the objective? Cool, we can freeze you. You want to play further on the ledge? We can wall you. We can split people off. If there's someone here, we can split him off. Remember this Symmetra icon? Remember that this is a Sigma, because Stepanen doesn't have a Sigma icon yet, which really is tilting me. So the Symmetra is a Sigma. Just remember that. So they can split off the Sigma if the Sigma would run out to try to deal with the Reaper or whatever. And they can do a lot of things like that. They can also use it for mobility. They also have Blizzard, which is like a team-winning ultimate here, as it's very clear what the enemy main group is going to play, so it's very easy to hit them with the Blizzard. Right? So you have May play for that. Then you have your general just bunker, Lucia for speed, and Ana. And what the Titans will do, they will play a really, really off-angle side with the Ana looking for really aggressive nades and sleep. So the first thing that will happen, the very first fight, they will first put their Ana here, and then she will try to kind of go up the stairs and hit a fat nade or sleep from this angle, right? And in another instance, she will be playing back here, right? Because the shields will be there, the Ana comes here as the main group rotates and pushes through here, forcing shields there. She can hit a nice angle here. They will all be antied or slept, and that's really good. Or they will rotate through the house. They will hopefully hope that the enemy team moves the shield to the doorway, so the Bastion can shoot through the doorway. The Ana plays back here, tosses the nade, enters the entire enemy team, and now they win the fight, right? So they actually use their Ana to off angle, try to look for nades and sleep, which is really, really good. They also, and this is another thing that they are trying to do, they always rotate, and this is of course what you should do, right? You cannot play any of these angles, so of course you rotate. So they always rotate here, and then they do one out of two things. They either send people like the Reaper and the Ana through here, right, to apply pressure behind, and then normally send the main group through here. And what they're trying to do is that they're trying to say, okay, if the Bastion plays far enough from the corner, then they can actually play here, wall, play the point. The enemy team will force to contest or give ticks, a lot of ticks. Then they, oh cool, we have most of the tick. They will force to contest. They can either then kill the guy, right, while there is, for example, a Reaper on the back line or whatever the Reaper is doing at that point, right? He will just running around looking for opportunities for him to be irritating. So while they have dropped, they can either try to kill the guy that contests this and then get a pick, or they can try to rotate into house and up around to now take the fight where there's only 3 people that can contest. The Phara can barely shoot some rockets in here. The Bastion and the Sigma cannot come back in, right? So now there's only 3 people up here. We have the Mage, we have the Reaper, right? We have a lot of people. And of course, we can still keep pressure on the point by still having people on the outside, still pressuring the point, forcing the Sigma not to do anything, and potentially killing the Sigma, and also slowing down the Phara. For example, our Sigma can do exactly that, as he won't have that much, what's it called in English? He won't have that much effectiveness here, so you can actually play him on the point if you want to apply pressure to the Phara, make sure she cannot fly too close to the ground without getting killed, and also dueling the Sigma. And the Reaper can do the exact same thing. The Reaper is like the best split player in this team composition, because he can play on the point, and then he can just start to teleport up here, or he can Wraith away, he can play in here, apply a lot of pressure, Wraith from back down to his team, right? He can then go onto the point and teleport back up. He has so much mobility, so much survivability, that he can just like apply pressure wherever it's needed in that situation. He doesn't need to look for picks, he just needs to drag attention to him and abuse weaknesses. So every time there's a hole, the Reaper tries to abuse that weakness, forcing them to plug it again, right? They can dragging attention. So let's see this. And the Titans actually managed to pull this off pretty nicely on the very first offensive round. So let's look at this, right? So Rascal's gonna start spawn camping like Rascal does, right? Just getting some ult shots off. So let's just watch this a little bit. Right, the bunker is kind of set up there, whatever. A little bit of pressure, they rotate. The Sigma's doing his job, like just trying to reduce damage. Rascal falls back a little bit. Some damage happened. 3, 2, 1, speed, right? The speed almost killing Twilight, but not quite. And no, this will be a successful push. They will win this push. It just knows how they play now. Okay, they're kind of waiting for just half a second. Most likely waiting for some cooldowns to come back up. Right? That's what I'm assuming. The Reaper TPs. Notice that the Ana stays on the flank. The Reaper TPs and immediately take house. Okay, so he can immediately now choose. He can choose to play here, right? The Shock takes point. The Ana tries to off angle. So now there's 2 people pushing stairs. There's one guy pushing tunnel, one pushing stairs, while there's people on the point. The Shock, as I understand it, they can choose between 2 angles now. They can either choose to do what they're doing. The Sigma and the Mei both applying pressure to the Phara, because we are not trying to win the shield war. So it doesn't matter. Don't shoot at the Phara. And notice how far Rascal is to play back, meaning he has reduced his damage output and his effectiveness on the map. They can either now play here, start taking ticks as 2 people are pushing stairs, force somebody to drop, rotate house, take house, and then go high ground. Then there's 3 people outside, 3 people on the balcony. The balcony will fall very quickly, right? Resource-wise. Right, on top of the fact that there's a Reaper already on the way, with the Ana nades, there's 2 people come from 2 different angles, about to just slam the living shit out of the people on the balcony. Potentially forcing them to choose between fighting the Ana and the Reaper, giving ticks, or giving ticks, losing the point, or fighting the people on the objective. They can't fight all of them. They can't both contest, kill the people on the point, and fight the Ana Reaper at the same time. And the Mei's on the point, so if you try to drop, he can either, if the Bastion tries to move or anything like that, then we can start walling him. For example, here the Mei can actually try to wall the Bastion off to reduce his effectiveness if she wanted to, right? And if we reduce his damage output, then we're forcing even more people to just drop, right? Because now we're not scared. Now the Titans will not be scared about losing the objective to shield break. They're gonna play here. They're gonna rotate all the way through. However, right, the sleep that comes through from Twilight, I'm not sure if he was spotted or whatnot, but this gave away his position. I personally didn't like that, as I would have liked to wait until the setup and they didn't know where the Ana was. I would personally have liked that better. But he does sleep the Baptiste, right? Bam. The Titans wall up to get the Mei quickly into position. Twilight rushes past as the Orisa tries. He doesn't have a choice here. Like Haxel doesn't really have a choice here. The Ana was made due to the sleep. The Orisa pushed the Ana Haxel has to get up here and try his very best to help, okay? So he has to pop the wall, which is kind of sad, right? Because if you notice the positioning here, first of all, it looks like Slime is trying to push people off the high ground, which is really good. Again, trying to dislodge people from the high ground so they can take balcony from them, right? Coming from a different angle. If you then again notice here, we have the Reaper. He's pushing back up. He's not in position yet, unfortunately. The Sigma is playing low ground, so he can quick play low ground and start contesting the objective. Notice again that they have already dropped their Sigma, so there's already one guy down. If the Pharaoh could push somebody, that would be, of course, like if Slime could push somebody, that would be insane, right? Of course, you cannot push the Bastion. That sucks. The Ana is getting pushed here, and that's the issue. The Ana will die here, but look at the positioning, and they have to burn wall. The ideal thing would be if you could wall here right now. Like if you could run stairs and wall Slime, like wall, if they could come up a wall here, so Haxel could wall away the Baptiste and the Orisa, then these two would be dead, and it's 2 free kills. That would of course be the ideal thing to do. But he had to burn wall to try to save Twilight. So the anti comes out, the Reaper managed to kill, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. Immortality field with res comes out, which kind of one of the problem. Now you can see that there's a lot of resources getting fought. Notice that the Reaper, who got the kill, and now back on the point with the Sigma and the Orisa, trying to just get some point progress, as they don't want to fight there anymore. Right, Reaper plays here. The Bastion is just kind of still up here. This is like where you cannot really wall him. Unless you play this angle here, you can't really wall the Bastion anymore, which is like the problem. Again, they just continue to fall back into the house. There was too much pressure outside, fall back into the house. Right? The Orisa got killed on the low ground again, right? So, okay, cool, that's another kill. Great, right? Now the Bastion doesn't have a shield, right? They can play inside here. The one guy contests the point is stuck out here. He cannot do anything. The Phara is useless right now. The Bastion is useless right now, right? So, great. And they're just waiting for Twilight to get back. Even though they lost their honor, which is like a big thing, this really stopped the push from happening as they are relying on Lucio heals. They do the same thing. They wall back up to get entire team fast to stairs. And notice who is now getting rushed, right? Because he doesn't have anyone guarding him. Because one tank drop and another one got killed because of bad positioning, right? The Baptiste is also on low ground now, trying to do his healing, right? The Reaper has retaken the point once more, pressuring here. And Twilight is trying to come back, right? So again, the Reaper is just jumping around on the fucking map, applying pressure from all kinds of angles, right? He can Rayfo inside. Big barrage gets 2. The Pharaoh dies, and now it's a little bit of a PvP war, right? With Twilight coming back in here, landing the anti here, the Reaper is still alive, right? And this is also one of the reasons that we play Reaper, because Reaper is so fucking OP, right? Twilight and Reaper pushing in, right? And now the point is, now they won this, right? That was the very first fight. So notice that was a successful, even though a lot of stuff happened and there was some misplays and there was something that went wrong and not everything goes by the book, which is normal in competitive Overwatch, right? Not everything goes by the book all the time, right? So that was the very first thing. The second one is at 1405, I do believe. Yeah, 1405. Let's see. Yeah, that is... There we go, 1409. Okay. So, okay. It's very much the same thing. They play Widow to try to get another pick here. Whatever, doesn't really matter. Doesn't get the pick, stops the Reaper. It's the same team composition. Now they actually do the rotation without the Reaper there. They wait for him for a little bit. Right? Notice now, notice now. Instead of sending Twilight through tunnels, now they keep Twilight in main. Right? Which is a little bit risky because this rotation is now more expensive. But they're trying to do that, right? Because again, if you notice what the San Francisco Shock did on the very first thing, as soon as they thought they were going tunnel, they immediately set up a shield here. They immediately just rotate everybody in there, right? As could be a smart plan, right? They got debated as they're supposed to. Right now, Rascal is also doing a way better job at lobbing rockets onto them from here. Right? Now Twilight is doing his best trying to pick off the Mercy from this angle here, which gives away his position. The rotation happened through house. Here they do this, which is a good thing. Like this wall right here, and then they put the Reaper onto the point. Right? They've already completed their rotation. Right? Again, is a way to reduce damage output and do that you can force the point to force people to drop down with these kind of walls. Right? So at that point they're forced they can sustain themselves on the point for way longer. Right? They don't get a tick, unfortunately. Simas, their Twilight gets pushed, and this is like where everything goes to hell. He does get a kill, but it doesn't really matter. And this is where the first thing goes to hell, right? Because now they will lose their Ana, and now they don't have really the sustain to play this like hit and run style, as they are very much relying on only Lucio healing. But again, notice now the Lucio, what he's trying to do. He's done his same thing, trying to dislodge the bunker, pushing 2 tanks off the high ground. If Twilight had been in main now, with his team through tunnels somewhere else, this would have been a 1 fight, most likely. Which is like insane. Right? They do get the Orisa. They do get the Sigma, I do believe. I'm not sure. They don't actually get the Sigma. Unlucky. Right, but it's a pretty good. Right? But now we come to the fact that they don't have the main heal. And they're just pocketing the living shit out of the Bastion. And the Pharaoh's playing close. Again, they're trying to kill the Sigma. Immortality field heals, right? They're just now they're just out sustaining the comp of the Titans. So Haxel is not playing very bad here. Like he's doing his job. Same with everybody else. They've swapped over to a D.Va, which was I think I just trying to get on the point play, right? But now you can see now the first of all, the Sharks playing way better in managing their healing and the resources on their supports. And some of the risky play that's made by the Titans is not always working off. You can now see again the Reaper is now applying pressure by flanking here. While at all the pressures on the main group, the Reaper has already taken his position in through tunnels. Because now he want to play tunnels. They have Nano, they have Reaper, right? Getting a Nano Reaper up behind the enemy team could be insane. But there's going to be a misplay. Again, and that's what ruins this. Some of these things are just a little bit of like high risk, high reward. The misplays, they wall the Bastion, whatever, right? The Reaper has already gone in once, forced the Sigma out here, right? Taking some attention away from whatever. This is just, I assume he's just poking. They nano, but this is like where the misplay happens. And this is like very sad to kind of watch. They nano the Reaper as it disengages here. Which is misplays. Right, he goes in here. Right, the wall comes out. He's kind of just hiding. I'm not sure why he is going in here, because it gives away his position, so I'm not sure why he would do that. Notice this. They ult here as the main group of the Titans, pushing and doing their rotation into Cafe. Right, they have to do that. The fucking mirror comes up, right? So at that point, they're kind of forced to dodge the LOS, right? But now they nano. Notice how far the Reaper is, and again, notice again that they know where he is. If he had been up here crouching, right, and there would be some kind of brawl happening, and they fucking nano the Reaper, that could be way better, but they nano him here, for some reason. Right, and I'm not sure why, because they give away the position of the Reaper, and they give away the position of the Ana, who's now had to nade herself, right, before the rest of the team really does anything. Right, they get no value out of the Reaper, they get no value out of the nade, right, the enemy team, they didn't get anything out of this, right, he's kind of just stuck here. Right, so they didn't really get anything out of that, which I found a little bit weird they were playing. Again, notice here, the Orisa can hold people from this position if she manages to get the pull right. She can do that, right? There's a Mei under here, they have Death Blossom on the high ground. Slime is looking for another push down. They have Blizzard, they have Death Blossom, they can hold people, right? And you can notice how the bunker is doing its very best to try to keep the threat of the Reaper at bay, keeping the threat of the people on the point at bay, right? The Sigma is off-angling, doing his very best at just eating Bastion damage, right? And trying to sow the phara, right? So they're doing a really good job here. The problem is the misplay, right? Here they pushed 3 players down. 1 can get back up, but the rest, they pushed 3 players down, boosted the rest of the players up to the high ground, up to the Bastion, to kill him. Right? That's an insane play. That's a really good play. And barrage. Right? The one play that they're struggling with, right? They also blizzard the point. Right? The problem is, again, the barrage is happening here. Slime doesn't get off his drop beat in time to save 2 of the players, both the tanks. And now, again, the Titans is playing without tanks on the point, and also without the Reaper. So they don't really have many people that can do anything with the point. And now it's, again, up to individual play. They rest the Bastion, and at this point, they're really struggling, right? Because they just get a lot of play. And again, this is where we're talking about that the Phara is the carry. But this doesn't mean that the Titans played bad. There are misplays from the Titans, in my opinion. Stuff that they do that seems odd in the order they're doing it. and so on. The Titans, but the strategy itself is really fucking good. Like, and the way that they utilize their main walls with Hacksaw, boosting people back up, using it for mobility, rushing the stairs, as forcing people to drop, and then immediately rushing the high ground, pushing people with slime, displacing them away from there to get out the Bastion, and then playing from there. But then there just comes some really good plays from Rascal. There are some misplays with the use of ultimates. For example, here, the entire shock wiped with still having some barrier up, for example. Which should never happen. And that is the point. And that is why the Titan played what they played. And it's a combination of them playing, them doing some weird stuff, the Shock doing some weird stuff, and the Shock doing some really cool plays, and some really good plays that they lost this. The tactic itself is really solid. So, if you find this informative, if you found that it helped understanding a little bit more about competitive Overwatch, I'm very sorry. How long is this video now? It's 25 minutes. Holy shit, I'm not gonna get views on this. But yeah, I wanted to cover this because it's a really fucking good strategy. I know it's a lot to comprehend. I tried to compress it as much as possible, but it's a lot to get in. So I would like to hear your opinions on this strategy down below. Do you have a better strategy? Do you like it? Do you hate this? In general, again, a like on the video helps. A subscribe, bell notification. If you like this type of content, or watch FPS, whatever, join the Discord server, join my Twitter, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. As always, guys, please take care, stay positive. I love you guys very much. As always, guys, keep getting me in your crosshair.